back. This is week 3 of our baby making YouTube collab, and I'm here to talk about my twin pregnancy. So if you didn't know, twin pregnancy is a lot higher risk than a regular singleton pregnancy, as we say. But mine were fraternal, meaning they were each in their own sac with their own placenta, which is the lowest risk of twins. And I had a healthy pregnancy prior to them with a vaginal delivery and no problems, so I was pretty much as low risk as it comes. But that said, it was still very, very medical, especially comparing to my first pregnancy and birth, which I used midwives, and I only had 2 sonograms the entire pregnancy. One was the 20-week scan, and one was because he was breech and they wanted to check on it around 36 weeks, and he ended up flipping, thank goodness. And it was a natural birth and everything was easy peasy, other than, 52-hour labor. That's not so easy peasy, but all things considered, pretty great. So with the twins, we found out at 7 weeks at the scan that they were twins and that I would have to see a MFM, which is a maternal and fetal monitoring, I think, like a specialist who specializes in higher risk pregnancies. So basically I had to see my regular OBGYN practice, and I rotated through all of the OBs and the midwives at that practice each week, or each time I visited. It wasn't every week. And then at the other place, the specialist, I went for regular scans, and they would scan. It was, it started out maybe monthly, and then as you went along, it got more regular every 2 weeks, and then every week, and then at the very end, it was 2 times a week. But basically, they were checking to make sure all the blood flow was normal, that the twins were each kind of growing at the same rate. They checked the umbilical cord blood flow, and they would also do an internal check of my cervix to make sure it wasn't shortening or funneling, and thankfully it wasn't, but that was a surprise because I never had to have any of those things checked with my first pregnancy. So it was very weird, and I would walk 3 miles a round trip to this specialist, pushing my toddler in his stroller, and he joined us. He loved seeing his little sisters on the TV, as he would call it. It was super cute, but that was a very kind of different thing for the twin pregnancy, I think, compared to a regular 1 baby pregnancy. Another thing, my OB practice, Gergis in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, they were very, very supportive and actually encouraged me to go for a vaginal delivery because I was so scared of the double whammy. You think with twins, maybe you get the first one out naturally and then the second one is stuck and you have to have a C-section, and then you have to recover from both. And that's kind of, other than losing a baby, that's kind of a twin mom's worst nightmare, is the double whammy. So I was so nervous for that, and I was like, you guys, why don't we just schedule the C-section and just call it a day? But they were like, we have to schedule a C-section, so we have it, we have something reserved at the hospital. I guess if it's not an emergency, it has to be scheduled. But we had that scheduled, but they were like, we want to push you, and you want to do vaginal. It's the best for you and the babies if we can do it, and we think we can. But it was kind of, I was just nervous before every scan. I was like, are both babies going to be there still? Are they both going to be healthy and growing at the right rate? It was really nerve-wracking. And I was also nauseous a lot longer than with my first. I started getting nauseous at about 4 weeks this time, and it lasted well into the second trimester. I want to say until about 16 or 17 weeks. And I was so tired all the time. Another thing that was different about this pregnancy, we wanted to find out the sex, the genders. So we didn't find out with my first until he was born. And this time I wanted to know, because I wanted to know if we needed to save my son's clothes or get rid of them and start buying girl stuff or have a mixture. So we found out, and the earliest we could find out that they could tell was, I think it was about 17 or 18 weeks, and it was really exciting, and we announced that with a balloon gender reveal on YouTube. I will link that below and throw it up here. It was really fun to announce that. And we were also doing the stop motion pregnancy video, if you remember. I mentioned that in the last baby collab video I did, which was about announcing our pregnancy. So I'll link that stop motion video below as well. I really recommend doing that if you have a pregnancy coming up. It's a really, really, really great way to document your pregnancy and remember it forever, and your kid one day can watch it. It's really, really cool. I think maybe about halfway through this pregnancy, you know, you get huge. And I started getting hip and back pain, but it was nothing I couldn't, you know, get through. And I continued walking to those appointments. We walked about a mile a day just in our regular lives, going to the grocery store and taking my son to library and the park. And it kind of got funny because people think they're being all hilarious when they tell a mom, oh, what, are you having twins? And it was really fun to just look them at like dead face, stone cold dead, and be like, yeah. They thought they were being so funny, you know, saying how large you are. But when you're like, yeah, I am having twins, so. Or when they're like, oh, you must be due any day. And you're like, I still have like 6 weeks. Because by like 7 months, you look full term. And it got really weird with the maternity clothes, because basically at the end, I was only able to fit into like maternity dresses. All my maternity shirts were like too short. Unlike most doctors, mine was comfortable going all the way to 40 weeks. Most doctors will make you have a C-section or induce you at 38 weeks because that's when they're officially full term. And after that point, the risks of complications and stillbirth start to increase. So most doctors want to have them out by 38 weeks, but mine was kind of like, if you're going to get the scan twice a week at this point, they will notice if something is starting to happen. So get those scans twice a week and we can go all the way up to 40 weeks. And so I was really nervous and I kept questioning him, and the specialist was questioning him and saying, you know, no, we should go at 38 weeks. And I was like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? And it was really kind of nerve-wracking. But at the same time, I kind of got a second wind, and I was, you know, let him cook, let him get bigger and stronger and healthier, and don't push them out before they're ready, right? So at 39 weeks and 3 days, I got really nervous and I felt like I stopped feeling them move. I didn't know if it was in my head or what, so I called my doctor and he said, why don't you just go to the hospital and get a scan and get them checked out? And I did, and they were fine. And then I got a $400 bill because that was technically emergency room charge, even though I went to labor and delivery. Apparently, if you don't check in to deliver or stay in the hospital, you get charged your copay for the emergency room. Didn't know that, but always better safe than sorry. When we got past the 38-week mark, my doctor went ahead and canceled our C-section schedule, and we just went. And then when I got to 39 weeks and 6 days, we had a scheduled induction. So basically I was a few centimeters dilated and like a 30% effaced or something, and having had a vaginal delivery already, they were very confident that an induction would be successful. I will stop there because next week is going to be about the birth, and that will start with talking about the induction and go on through how the day went and how they were born. So stay tuned, and don't forget to check the link in my video description for the playlist of all the other baby making collab videos we did, how they were conceived, how you found out and announced you were pregnant. This week is the pregnancy, next week is the childbirth, and then it's going to be postpartum. So watch those videos and stay tuned for the next videos. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.